What's up, people? So today we're going to be making a custom seat pan for Harley-Davidson Street Glide custom bagger. There's a lot of ways to do things. There's always more than one way to skin a cat. The way I like to do it is the fiberglass pan or a steel pan. I've said in the past how a lot of places use epoxy pans and they'll actually make this really thick paste. Well, the problem we find with epoxy pans is one, they're too thick, so it's really hard to get a nice crisp line and also keep the seat pan as low profile as we need it. Also, I don't know if people mix things wrong, but we've had a lot of epoxy pans that actually curl up and they kind of do like a elf shoe thing where they flare up in the front and the back. Once that happens, the seat pans are garbage. For about 20 years, I've been making composite pans with just regular fiberglass. We make steel pans, aluminum pans, carbon fiber pans, all that. We never have a problem with this. For me, this is the best way to do it. Okay, so remember, if at any time you don't know what you're doing, hire a professional. We don't want this to be like, this is how you have to do it, because there are people who shouldn't be doing stuff like this. This is just kind of showcasing how we do it. And it is going to be a step-by-step how we do it. When you're working with chemicals and you're working with tools and all that, you gotta be careful. You gotta know what you're doing, especially with composites and resins. If you don't wear goggles and it splashes in your eyes, it could be pretty catastrophic to your site. Also, the chemicals, they do smell. You know, we have exhaust fans that we have running. We usually wear respirators. For this video, I'm not going to. I'm just gonna have the fan kind of running in the background. Gloves, all safety gear is super important, which I'm gonna go over to. I'm gonna go grab all my stuff. We're gonna set up a nice table, nice work area so you can see what we use, and then we're gonna start making a pan. Before I start working on the bike, I'd like to get a table set up with everything I'm gonna need right here, ready to roll, away from the bike. This way I don't have to worry about anything splashing or spilling or getting near it. On this table I have our masking paper, which is a better grade masking paper than the stuff that we use for templates and stuff. You wanna make sure that it's thicker, it has a wax coating, and if resin gets on it, it will drip off. We also wrap the entire bike in an auto body wrap plastic for covering cars when you're painting them. I have my resin here, ready to roll, rubber gloves, wearing rubber gloves. We have our roller to roll out the air bubbles, soaking in lacquer thinner, and we have our brush, which is very dirty because we use it a lot. If you keep it in lacquer thinner, the lacquer thinner doesn't evaporate as fast as the acetone. The acetone is more aggressive and works better for cutting resins, but if you're looking to just keep your stuff clean, use lacquer thinner. Always be careful, lacquer thinner is really bad. It's you don't want to splash in you. It's not good to breathe. Same thing with the fiberglass resins. We also have our MEK, methyl ethyl ketone peroxide, which is the hardener for our resin. In the squeeze bottle, we have our tape that we use for masking off the bike. We have our duct tape that we use for actually making the pan so it's a little bit thicker. And then we have our blue tape, which is the first one we put down, which is a low tack tape that will not damage the paint. And then we have our shipping tape that we use for a releasing agent. The reason we use the shipping tape for the releasing agent is because when you lay your fiberglass on it, it acts as an extra barrier just to protect the bike and everything underneath it. Just one more additive protection so that nothing will drip through or run through any of the tapes. What's cool about the shipping tape is when you pull your fiberglass off of it, the bottom of the fiberglass doesn't sweat. We use a polyester resin for our seat pans because it never sees any UV. On our parts that we make for the motorcycles and for cars, we use a vinyl ester polyester blend just because the vinyl ester has some better properties and they're better for UV and they dry better and you get less print through. It's just a whole different beast. With that said, we're using general purpose polyester, no wax. When you pull the pans off, sometimes if you use a releasing agent such as PVA or just a mold release wax, you'll pull your pan off and there'll be a wet sweat underneath it. You have to let that dry. Sometimes you can take a lacquer thinner, wipe it down, let it flash. But for some reason with the shipping tape, it doesn't do that. So we'll use that and it's a lot quicker. Now before I go through and put the blue tape on to protect the bike from any spills or drips, I wanted to talk about the pans that we're using. So this pan here, the original seat was an epoxy, well actually I don't know what it was. It was maybe a plastic-based seat pan that came with the kit. Seat pan was very thick, it fit very poorly. When you put the seat pan on the bike, the pan actually sat higher than the stretch tank did. So even when you grind it down, if you ground it all the way down to sit underneath there so you had a little bit of foam on top so that you could sculpt it and let it flow into the tank, there would be a hole, it just wouldn't do it. So the pan was horrible fitting. It almost looked like it curled up, which is a problem that we've had on the old epoxy pans, as I've said in the past. I think because they were powdery dust that you mix with epoxy, there was no real structure to it. So a lot of the people that made those pans made them thick, uneven, and they would actually bend up, which is horrible for a motorcycle. This customer also went in and put a lot of epoxy and stuff on here, which isn't gonna affect us right now, but we'll have to try to clean some of that up. And the hard Velcro that was put on there, a lot of people, the hard snap together Velcro that people use, people think it's better because, well, it is a better, it has more tension strength to it, but when you click them together, they kind of lock in. Those are great, however, on the bike, like especially a Harley, they move around so much that it shears those plastics off and then the Velcro stops working. On a motorcycle, you're gonna use just regular hook style Velcro. When we make this seat here, even though it's a Velcro seat, and the reason people do the Velcro seats on the bike is they want that seat pan to hug it, especially on a custom bike. You want the seat to sit really close to the bike, no gaps, and have it really even. You also don't want to have a tab and drill holes to your fender. So on this one, what I'm gonna do is the pan we're gonna make, we are gonna have a location for a tab just in case he ever wants to put an actual tab in there to make the seat stop sliding around. I'll show you how we do that. This seat here has an inverted tongue, which we have to go under. We do have seat pans that already slide in here. We have some seat pans that we do for like Yaffe tanks that will fit pretty good. However, this one's so different, it's already been body worked. I wanna make sure that our pan's a lot lower. Some people that are about to, that haven't done the body work on it will actually have the seat pan in there and the seat foamed and wrapped or just foam, and then they'll do their body work so you can match up to it that way. On this one, we actually have the bikes already done, so we can't do it that way. So we're gonna have to make our pan and seat flow right into it. Let's get tape in. Now you can see here we have the blue tape all over the place. It doesn't stick well, but the only reason that we have this blue tape on here is to protect the paint finish. The reason I choose to use multiple layers in this way, to actually use the blue tape, the duct tape, and then the shipping tape, is to, one, obviously extra protection. The safer you are, the less chances of having anything go wrong with the motorcycle paint or anything else. But two, as you're doing this, you're actually creating layers which will be about the same thickness as the material that rolls underneath the seat pan. If you make a seat pan and say directly on the bike, because you technically could PVA and do that and then make a seat pan on here, or like a lot of guys do, they'll put like tin foil all over it and then make a seat pan on there, and you can do that. However, when you go to wrap it, you have a pan that sits really close to the tank and flat down here. When you go to put your upholstery on it, now the seat pan has to go back, it has to go up. So pretty much everything changes. And when it hits the front part of the rear fender, this area becomes too small with the material underneath it, and then your seat pan doesn't sit right. By doing this, you're actually making the gap that you really need for your material. Different materials or different thicknesses. Some people put different foams on it that wrap around. You always have to compensate for what you are doing. This just happens to be the way we do it. Now that I have the blue tape on here, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna layer this whole seat here with the duct tape. I'm gonna do it in different patterns than I did the blue tape. This way, less of a chance of any of the resin ever seeping through. Seat's duct taped. If you notice, you try to always keep your duct tape before the ending of the blue tape. This way the duct tape is not touching the paint or anything else, and you have less chance of pulling it up. Now, because I'm gonna put a provision for having a tab here, I just grabbed a piece of aluminum that we use for making some of our brackets and tabs, and I'm gonna actually put this where it has to go and then tape over it so that we have that bump there. If the customer chooses not to use it, I'm just gonna put a tiny bit of foam underneath there so you won't even see it's there. However, if he does decide he wants to use a tab, it'll be able to be bolted on there. If you don't have aluminum or whatever, you could use a paint paddle, as long as you buy your tab material at the same width as your paint stick. You just want to make sure you tape it off really. Now I'm just taking regular auto body masking paper, going around the edge of the bike, obviously. This is just an extra precautionary measure to make sure that nothing drips through, because when you're rolling out the air on your resin, it's going to run down a little bit. We don't want it to get on the chrome or motor or any paint or anything. This to some people seems like overboard, because now we're going to wrap the whole bike in plastic, and then we're going to use our shipping tape to actually seal it one more time and act as a release agent. We've been doing this for about 20 years and have never had a bike damage, never have a paint damage. Continue to do it this way. On your own bike, you can take chances, but we don't. The whole bike is taped off now. We have the plastic going all the way around it, just in case if there's any splatter, it's not gonna get on the bike. Now we're just gonna take a decent grade shipping tape and cover up over everything. What I do is I'll actually start over onto the plastic and go over onto the plastic. So now it's an extra protection. So I'm just gonna go through, do the whole thing. All right, so I'm gonna mix up the fiberglass and then we'll start making the seat pan. I just cut some stuff up into smaller pieces. Like I could actually took a seat pan with the inverted tab, put that in there and then fiberglass around it, but I'm gonna do this based off of you don't have that and you just have to use what you have. Mix up the fiberglass resin. Again, we are using general purpose polyester resin, no wax. I'm gonna put glasses on so that it doesn't splash in your eyeballs. When you mix this up, it's not rocket science, but you should always follow whatever your manufacturer's specifications are. It's usually 2 to 5%, and it depends on the temperature out. Like if it's really hot, you could use a little less. If it's cold, you use a little bit more. The reason we're using the no wax GP is because it's what we have over here because we use it in our making our seats. When you're fiberglassing, you could wet out the actual place you're gonna do it and then put the mat on it and then wet it out again. I don't like to do that on bike seats because it's just one extra time that you're getting resin on or around the motorcycle. So we're gonna take some of these pieces, these little sizzler strips, and we're just gonna wet them out here. I'll wet out both sides. These ones I just tore. One thing you wanna make sure when you're doing fiberglass, you don't wanna have it ending. You don't want two pieces to just end together because you're gonna build up a hard ridge. So you always wanna overlap them and feather them out a little bit. So I'm gonna do this one. And the mat that I'm using, we use a 3-ounce chop strand. Again, you could use woven. It is for this particular stuff, it could be a little bit stronger. We just will use one extra layer and we use it all the time because the parts that we make have a less chance of having what they call print through. And that's where, because of the woven being so thick, when you wet it out, it's gonna dry differently. And then over time, that material is gonna print through. On a finished piece, you'd actually see that crisscross pattern. The chop strand is lighter and has less of a chance of doing that. Now that the seat pan's all wetted out, we're just gonna roll it. This is our air roller, fiberglass roller. It takes out all the air. You don't put any pressure down when you're using this. If you put pressure down, it can move the material. Just kind of let it do its thing. I usually go quick over the first shot and then slow down once you get the area covered because you don't want the fiberglass to start drying and not have the air out. One thing I do when I'm doing motorcycle seat pans, I'll actually always kick the resin a little slower because I don't want it to overheat. Fiberglass has a tendency to get extremely hot, and if it does, it could actually bake the paint on there. It might not necessarily ruin the paint, but what it could do is get it hot enough that it actually reprints the paint. So then your clear coat actually has a grain, then you gotta kind of sand and buff it to get rid of it. By keeping it cool, which in the winter is not a big deal, you can just let it slowly cure overnight. In the summer it's a little tougher unless you have AC, but you could actually put a fan on it because the fan will keep all the solvents as they release away from it, so it kind of cools a little bit slower and keeps the pan from getting too hot. You know, you could force dry these and rush them and get them done quicker, but I choose to let them sit cool overnight to make sure there's no damage on the paint or the bikes themselves. You really should always, once something cures, keep it in the mold or let it dry for 24 hours. Kind of a rule of thumb because even though it's dry to your touch and it flashes, fiberglass with certain resins, especially general purpose polyester resins, have a tendency to dry a little slower and more uneven. So it's possible that they could actually shrink a little bit or change overnight in that extra 24 hours. Okay, so I'm just about done rolling the air out. What this tool does is there's actually air underneath and in between the layers of fiberglass material and resin. By running this through there, it's actually pushing those air bubbles out and you're actually chasing them to the edge of the seat pan and away from where you need it. If you had air bubbles in here, it can delaminate, it makes it weaker. And a lot of it's mainly for when you're making a part. If you have a painted part and you gel coat it and there's air in between the fiberglass and the gel coat, the actual part will bubble up or blister or delaminate. They have other types of rollers. These are just the standard steel ones. They have plastic ones. They have ones they call bubble busters, which have little teeth in it. A lot of people like those. Okay, so the seat pan is dry. We're ready to pull it off. Like I said, we let it dry overnight so that it dried cold and slow and wouldn't cause any damage to any painted surfaces on the motorcycle. These ones are a little bit of a pain. I always run the fiberglass up here. When you're pulling it off, you gotta be careful because you do not want to push into the paint and mess up any of the painted area. One other thing too is when you have the shipping tape down like we had before we put the fiberglass on, you can go around with a Sharpie and actually mark where you want to trim if you wanted to. And then when you pop the seat pan off, that'll actually leave that mark there so you have like a guideline to go by. With this, I wanted to do something different. So I'm gonna pop this off, I'm gonna give it a rough trim, pull the masking off the bike, and actually tape it up so that my tape transfers through onto the pan. And I could use that as a crisp, sharp edge on where I want the seat pan to fall. Okay, so now we have a pan. Okay, so now I'm going to carefully remove the seat pan area here. I'm going to take all the plastic off. I put the original seat back on here and the backrest so we know exactly where it is. One of the reasons why I chose not to Sharpie it on top of the shipping tape and before we fiberglass is because I wanted to put this on and actually go around and visually look at the seat and see exactly where I want the seat to be, because we're going to make the seat a little bit wider. Here, I don't know if you can see, well, you can't because I have it taped off, but underneath here you could actually still see the frame of the bike, which didn't look good. So we're going to have the seat pan come down a little bit wider, not a lot because we don't want a really wide seat, but enough to cover up the underneath of the bike. Also, now that we're going to be making the rear seat a little bit wider for comfort for the rear passenger, and I just wanted to make sure we have it lined up with the backrest. The rear of the seat comes to a point, and I think from what he had shown me what he wanted, we're actually going to get rid of that point because there's really no need for it. But I did want to kind of mark out where the seat ended. So I'm going to put a little line here just to have a basic idea of where this seat ended, and then I'm going to actually do a mark where the backrest ends, because you don't want to make the seat too far back because then it's going to look bad extending past the backrest. And you also don't want to make the seat too far forward so that the rear passenger is not really sitting against the backrest. Now I'm going to pull this all off and we're going to tape it up, and I'm going to use the tape, the blue non-stick tape, and then I'm going to use some yellow tape and maybe a green tape just to give me a crisp edge of where I want my fiberglass pan to go. Okay, so I went ahead and marked my center point on the tank cover. Also marked my center point on the rear fender. I made an outline of roughly where I'm going to want the seat to go. This is my critical measurement that I'm really trying to keep to here. I don't want the gap between the frame and the side cover. I think that doesn't look good at all. Basically, I'm going to make sure that I have a 1/4 inch of seat pan sitting on the edge. Now you can do the seat and you could add foam there and keep padding it out. Problem is, if you want a really nice fitting seat, it's a little bit easier to have a nice hard pan to actually use as a guide. We're going to have that pan perfect around the edge. This way we can stand it. When we come around the inside of the tank here, we can give it the exact gap that we need. And based off of the seat cover that we're going to be putting on there, I'm probably going to do about a 1/8 inch gap all the way around here, because that will allow for material and for the foam that we're using to go around there. Okay, so I just went through and gave the seat pan a really rough cut. No, it's bigger than it should be, and that's kind of how I wanted it. I can look underneath it, I can see exactly where my tape mark is, where I'm going to want to cut. And I'll follow the straight edge of the tape, because the tape, when you pull it, you can pull it tight and get a nice line to it. Plus the contrast between the yellow, green, and blue really pops, so you can see exactly where you want your pan. So I'm going to transfer all my center lines onto this pan. I'm going to take this side, get that shape the exact way I want it. Then I'm going to snap a line down the middle, transfer that over to the other side so we have a symmetrical pan. I try to always do pans symmetrically and perfect with the bike. Sometimes on customs it's really difficult to do. Okay, so now I have the seat pan set up to where I pretty much want it. I ended up doing a little bit of a shape in the back just because this bike has a lot of rear pointing stuff on it. So this way the seat pan does flow with it. It's just not as extreme as the original seat we had on here. I have my gaps set up really good like I want, covering the frame rails, and they're covering the gap over to the side covers. And then I have them about 1/8 of an inch over the side covers. If that makes any sense. So now when you look at it, you can't see underneath there or see the gaps. I'm going to finish sanding this. I usually just take a sander, I'll sand the bottom of it smooth around the edges so there's no sharp edges. And then that's it. It'll be a seat pan will be ready to go. If you wanted to put your bracket on here, you could actually drill and tap it and have everything set up for your rear tab. We have this set up so that he could put one on there if he chose to. The front, we have to clean this up, but you can see the tab comes through the middle. Some guys will have this come smooth across here with a tab underneath it like the original seat. The problem is the seat will bounce around a lot. This will actually keep it in there because the tabs, fit through the hole there. I just gotta sand that down and clean it up. But we'll round this all off and make it look good, and then we're gonna foam it up.